Hello, everybody. My name is Nazeeh Alothmany. I'm an associate professor of biomedical engineering at King Abdulaziz University in Saudi Arabia. I've been working in the biomedical field for a long time, since about 20 to 25 years. I'll be talking to you about the impact of regulations on innovating medical devices, because many biomedical engineers, as I saw in the field, I was for some time, for 3 years, the director for medical device, Saudi FDA, medical device sector in Saudi FDA. And we had always dealt with allowing or not allowing devices to enter into the market. And I have seen many biomedical engineers working in the field suffering in obtaining approvals for their innovations to enter into the market. Unfortunately, they start the innovation and they do wonderful work, but they don't put in mind that there are regulations at the end of the tunnel. So it becomes too late for them to accommodate the regulatory requirements after the innovation is done. So I'll be talking about how do you put the regulation in mind before you start the innovation, so that you don't get stuck at the end and end up doing everything all over again. This is the medical device life cycle. In general, it has 3 phases. The first phase is research and design. The first phase is research and design. The second phase is manufacturing and sales. And the third phase is the life cycle within a hospital. So many biomedical engineers within hospitals, they have devices. They have special type patients. They end up modifying, adding features to devices in a way that allows them to obtain an IP. Now, it's good to think about converting this IP to a product or licensing this IP, but at the same time, you have to get the approval of the authority before being able to do that. And that's what we are going to talk about. How will you do this? If you don't put this approval requirements in your mind from the beginning, you may end up wasting your time and not being able to accommodating that need. Why do we need approvals? Patents, there are thousands of patents for medical devices being issued every year. There are more than 30,000 patents registered in medical devices in Europe and the United States only in the year 2015. This number is increasing as we go. And of course, nobody puts a patent unless they want to have a market value. They want to put their product in the market. And by the way, 85% of patents registered in the United States end up being lost because they don't enter the market. Why? Because the inventor did not put the market requirement in mind once he or she obtained that patent. So it's important to put this in mind. Any medical device, if we look at it from regulatory perspective, people have many concerns. Does it operate safely? Does it fail safely? Any biological effects? Does it have any sterilization requirements? Does it use measurement? Does it have X-ray? Is it easy used? Electrical safety? Where are the parts coming from? Are they genuine parts? Does it have power isolation or not? And if you notice, these are all requirements and concerns that are not related to the functional and operation. We haven't spoken about the accuracy and the efficacy of the device. We are talking about the device in general. So any regulator will be concerned about proving that any device has certain requirements before they allow it enter into the market. Many people claim that their devices do things. As biomedical engineers, you must have seen many companies coming to you with claims about their devices that are not true, that are very exaggerated. How accurate is it? Is it cost effective? What is the rate of false negative, rate of false positive? Does it give the right number, the right measurements? What are the calibration requirements? Calibration. Many biomedical departments don't even check for the calibration of their devices. Does it involve radiation? Are there any clear instructions for use? These are all things regulators put in their mind before allowing any device to enter into the market. So when you're innovating something, you have to put these requirements in your mind, and you have to document proofs and perform certain tasks to submit proofs to the regulators that your device satisfies most of these things. And there are minimal requirements for all of these things set by all regulators. If you go to the website of any regulator, you will find that there are minimum requirements for all of these things that I spoke about. no device will enter into the market without any approval. So if you're innovating something in your hospital, you have to ensure that you are following the safety and guidelines that are issued by your regulators. There are many requirements for distributors, market, and there are for distributors, importers. There are requirements for getting approval for the device in the market. There are approvals for tracking the safe operation of the device, and there are mechanisms to enforce these devices. These are all part of any regulatory requirements around the world that are implemented in US FDA, in Europe, in PMDA, in Japan, in Australia, in Canada, in many parts of the world. Every country in the world has their own requirements. And there are many international organizations. I advise all biomedical engineers to be aware of these organizations and get engaged in their activities like IMDRF, ICEHTMC, the WHO. All of these organizations have documents that talk about the minimum safety and efficacy requirements for any device to enter into the market. There are 8, for any regulatory system, there are 8 principles of safety and efficacy for any medical device, essential principles. They call it essential principles, 8 of them. You must know these 8 principles when you are innovating new devices, and you must provide documents to prove that your device meets these, whatever applies from these 8, because some of these 8 may not apply to your device. Some of these principles are associated with electrical, electromechanical, radiation. If your device is not electromechanical or not does not involve radiation, you may not. I mean, you wouldn't require to prove that it is. So there are the essential principles that you need to put in mind. You have to put in mind risk classification. You have to minimize the risk of using this device and failing in this device on the patient and even on the user themselves. You need to show that you have a quality management system used in manufacturing the device, and you have to, at the end, submit technical documentation to regulators to demonstrate that these devices meet the minimum requirements. And these technical documentations are well explained on the websites of your regulatory body wherever you are around the world. I mean, one of the essential principles is that the device will do what is intended to do in a safe fashion on the user and on the patient, him or herself. So you have to, if it's used for the intended purpose, with the intended method of use. So you have to identify what is the correct method of using and what is the intended use. And once you do that, it has to do its performance safely. And there are standards that will help you in demonstrating that this issue is met. So that's what I'm talking about. 8 essential principles. How will you prove that your device meets these essential principles? How will you demonstrate biocompatibility, sterility, stability? So all regulators will post the standards that they apply, and you need to prove that your device meets those standards. You have to do clinical trials that are approved by the regulator in advance to prove that your innovation works. It's important to have documentation in all over your innovation life cycle, your plan, your safe design, your quality, your test, the tests you have done, the trials, everything. You have to document it very well to submit to the innovators. There are many standards that will help you. You go to IEC 60601. There are many standards for almost all medical devices that have electromechanical parts. You will have a standard that you need to prove that your innovation meets this standard. So you take your innovation to an independent party and you ask them to give you, to perform the tests to show that it meets the standards associated with them. A device may have multiple standards. Quality management system, of course, there is the ISO 9000 for the manufacturing process, and there is ISO 13485. No biomedical engineer, because ISO 13485 now involves even the quality within the hospital, within the use of hospital. So no biomedical engineer should, everybody should know ISO 13485 and ISO 14971 risk management system for medical devices. You need to know these, and you need to ensure that your innovation and your manufacturing process and the design process meets these two requirements, and submit documentation to the regulator to prove that. There are sterility, usability, biological biocompatibility standards that you need to prove that your innovation meets those standards. How do you do that? You take your device to an independent test agency or a notified body or a lab test that is authorized and accepted by your regulator, and you tell them, this is my device, I want to submit approval to the regulator, perform to me the tests to show that I meet the standards that are approved by my regulator. So this body will do these tests for you and will give you documentation to show that your device meets these requirements or not. There are many notified bodies that do this. This is under laboratory, Cosmos, Dover Island, SGS, and many others who can do these things for you for your innovation. So you have to prove that your innovation satisfies the standards and the requirements for your regulator. And if you don't put these requirements in mind before you start your innovation, you will end up in trouble, because you may end up with a design that does not meet the requirements, and you will have to modify the design and start all over again. I hope that this is the medical device technology life cycle: needs, design, prototype, clinical trials to prove that the device works. Then you obtain the final design. When you obtain the final design, you do the regulatory requirements, you do the testing, and then you submit the documents for the regulator. Once you are approved, you can enter into the market. Even when you enter the market, you have to enter the market in accordance to the requirements of the regulator. I hope that with this, I managed to put some lights to our biomedical engineers around the world to help them in directing their innovations towards the market, and putting in mind that the regulatory requirements is something you have to put from the first time you start your innovation, from the first initial steps, so that you document your process, you do it with quality management system, and you do the testing required to get your approval for the device. This is my Twitter account. I would be happy to accept any questions. I also have a blog. It's in Arabic, it's a little bit of English. It talks a lot about biomedical engineering in hospitals, clinical engineering. I thank IFMBE for allowing me to speak on this topic in the conference, and I hope that everybody enjoys. I was hoping that we can see each other, hopefully next year or the next time we will be able to meet and exchange experience and knowledge. Thank you very much.